of an initiative of giving back Izami skills to other businesses, and not just businesses, the community in whole.
Okay.
So yeah, that's how basically Project Whole came to be, as in a way of marketing and having to have conversations with business people, giving them another advance in media platforms, your socials as well. Yes.
Quite interesting, and it's very important what you are touching on, that we have been in a very hard time, with the COVID, the pandemic that has hit the entire world, and a lot of businesses have suffered truly. And it's so interesting that actually during that time, businesses that did not have an online presence or any form of engaging with their customers and clients rather than face to face or walking in, they really struggled. But it's so also interesting that these small businesses don't really see the value in marketing their businesses, in being online, in using media. What do you think are some of the reasons why they don't get the value of maximizing media so that they can be able to market their businesses?
Well, I think indoor is more of the sense of take for example having a phone and a camera. That's good.
Okay.
And if you had to take that and use it to our generation, they know it as a way of doing content creating.
Okay.
But for the older generation, it's a different story. They're more like receiving calls and sending texts. So for a person like myself who is more advanced when it comes to and younger, showcasing them, but listen, you can take a nice picture of this and showcase it in a different form to make it more presentable to your customer, so that they get intrigued and want to get involved on buying your product or your services. So it was a way of not just that, in a sense of making whatever picture to say more than it is. You see, I always have this say as part of my slogan is 1,000 words in a picture.
Okay.
So it describes another paradigm shift between you and your product and just being a photo. So I had to come about with a way of making it a more comfortable and different, stepping out of their comfort zone when getting presenter this project hope to them, so that they can tell their story in that picture. They can tell where it's coming from in what they have come from, basically.
Okay. Quite interesting. Kuman?
Just to add on to what Sego is saying, I think business owners should also look at the value that social media brings to their offering, whether it's them selling a product or a service. Now, when I say value, I'm referring to not just posting content or taking pictures for the sake of it, or maybe you saw a competitor business doing the same thing. When I'm talking about value, I'm talking about what's the end goal with you posting the content and you going through the social media route. So before you start, you first need to determine what's the end goal. What do you want to achieve? Then I think that will give you enough impetus and enough drive as a small business owner to then look at diversifying even the media mix that you are using as part of your businesses, because not all businesses will need exposure. Some won't necessarily need exposure
in terms of the type,
because the product is that good. For example, I'll give you an example now for phones, since Usego was talking about phones now and the camera of a phone. The brand HTC, you hardly see an advert HTC, but if you're someone who is knowledgeable in terms of tech and phones, you'll know that HTC is quite a durable, it's a durable, good brand, but you hardly see them advertising and, for example, like Apple and Samsung. So because they trust their brand and the work that goes into their brand, they don't see the need to advertise, and therefore they save money instead of someone who then is always spending. I think that's a thought process for small businesses that they need to go through.
It's so interesting, this aspect that you are bringing, that, you know, there needs to be a strategy. And sometimes you find businesses being so frustrated. I do post, I do create these photos, no one comments, no one even likes, no one even reacts, and you'd find that they're so frustrated. And I think, you know, what you are saying also brings in an answer to say, but if you haven't given it put up a strategy to how you're doing it, and you know, thought about it, but what's the end goal? I'm not just posting just for the sake. I'm not just, but I'm intentionally incorporating. I'm creating a strategy about how do I market my business, and I'm also using with the different media that's available to ensure that I'm able to achieve the end goal that you know, I have. And looking into that, maybe we can also move into talking about the different ways that one can be able to use to incorporate media into their marketing strategy for business growth. Because okay, I do want to make use of this, but where should I start? You know, what should I be thinking about? Is it only photos? Is it videos? You know, what's the most effective? What's the way? How do I start listening as an entrepreneur right now to this conversation?
Well, in terms of creativity, yes, you may have low concept of taking your product and you think this is it looks nice, but it's not as appetizing. That's where we come as creatives, Getina, finding angles without having to have words or someone saying voice over, but just the picture itself, the video itself speaking essence. You see, that's I would say from my end to the creative side. I don't know if Ubudi would also
from a consulting point of view, I would say that an entrepreneur needs to also look at who you are selling to. So are you selling to private individuals or private households, or are you selling your service or your product to other businesses? Then once you determine that, then that should inform the type of media strategy that you are then going to embark on, and that will also determine the type of resources that you are going to need. Are you going to need still photos that Useko is good at? Are you going to need a small promo video, maybe 1-2 minutes video? Or are you just going to need yourself as the business owner, you know, dress smartly and taking the picture next to the product, you know? So there are many ways to go about it, but I'd first start with the point that you just need to determine is your product, who is your target market? Audience. Yes, that's where it starts.
Wow. So it begins with knowing and understanding who your target audience is, and I think it's very important that especially startups and smaller businesses, you know, they need to out of what you're saying, they need to take the time to intentionally you know, craft Gubanilo, I am trying to attract ngale product or the service that my value proposition I'm offering, and that is what is going to influence the types of strategies that I use around what types of media then you know would be appropriate and suitable to that target audience. Because I usually make an example to say, if you are a car dealership and you are or an insurance company and you're selling vehicle insurance and you are just targeting wonge, some people don't even have cars, so you know that won't appeal to someone who's not looking for a car currently, who doesn't even have a car. But so I think it's very important what you're saying, that the target audience becomes very important.
Correct.
And now moving on to disadvantages, that might come up. I know, businesses are very reluctant to spend money on marketing. Sometimes, what would you say are some of the biggest disadvantages that a business places, a business is this disadvantage, any type or form of marketing or using media or incorporating media marketing and into their business?
Because we are in a time where there is potentially information overload, with fake news, people driving their own agendas, it becomes very important to stand out from the marketplace. So you have to bear in mind that the service that you are offering, there are other businesses that are offering that same service and are probably maybe doing a better job than you are. So it becomes very important to stand out. So I think that's the first step in designing or determining your media strategy is how far do you want to go in terms of standing out. And that should then determine the type of media that you are going to use, which will then determine the budget for that media. So are you going to go the route of just advertising online on different social media platforms? Are you going to buy a radio slot? Are you going to advertise on TV? So those are the things that you need to consider, but all of that is based on how far you want to go in terms of standing out, because standing out is very important. Otherwise people won't know what you are offering, how to get hold of you, and stuff like that. Take, for example, if you're going to a party, you're a teenager, pens down, you've just finished writing your exams, and you want to impress someone at the party. You won't just go there randomly dressed. You pick out your outfit, you are there. One of the intentions is to stand out, maybe to attract someone. You understand? So it's the same thinking that should go into your business. Who are you attracting? How far do you want to go in terms of standing out? Do you want the person to see you the minute you walk into the door? Or do you want them to sort of like look and scan and survey the room and say, okay, this is the guy or girl.
Quite interesting. And I think really it does become important that the issue of standing out. And you know what, also going online and using social media, everyone is there. There's it's like an advantage to business people, because whoever you are trying to target in your business is online. They are in some social media platform, they are in some group, they are in some page, following some page, but they are there online. And how really do you ensure that they're able to see you, because there's a lot of people, you might just fizzle out in the noise. And I think it's quite powerful what you're saying, that it means that as you are getting into making a decision around marketing, and especially using media and going online, look at also how much you want to stand out outside of the noise. And I think that's something that they really need to keep in mind. Now I want to talk about the aspect of taking photos and taking these videos, and people, small businesses sometimes have a perception that I can do this on my own. It doesn't really need professional work. It doesn't really need I can just do it myself. Do you think that it's important for a business to appreciate the media side of things, photography, videography? Does need a professional, I can just do it myself.
Well, I don't think, you mean if you've got the eye, because that's natural.
What's the eye?
That eye. La eye, but you are able to see. It's that eye. Okay. Well, it's more of if you can think outside the box, as I say. Think outside the box, something different, because you don't know the fundamentals that go behind the scenes of you creating Lando. Yes. Time. Do you have the time to do it? To create Lando intle is a wazuba appealing to your Lando. So I think for me is, if you think you can't go outside the box, get someone who can be able to do that for you. And obviously you have to look at the portfolio, what they've done before, how they do it. And sometimes Abandu have this tendency of making sure that they have to buy the most expensive equipment. I started with taking videos using my Samsung S7. But what the objective was just making sure that the main thing, which is that thing, you see, the essence, that thing gets across. The point is across to who I am. You see, and from there, if you're a transgressor, you went forward, you went into a better.
You grew.
Yes, I grew through that, and the quality, because you learn as you go. Sometimes, as much as when I found the school, and you learn as you go, because you make mistakes within this zone. So you don't want to get all that frustrated. Rather, just get us. We will do that for you with no problem. And perhaps even grow into loyalty. And that's one thing I push myself into, is having to grow loyalty, because I can explain something to you that you had not noticed within your own product or service.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So we learn that from one another.
Okay.
Yes,
okay.
that's another thing that can be.
And just to add on to what Sego is saying, which is, quite important in terms of getting a professional on board at some point. Remember, when you start, you're working with the resources that you have.
Sure.
Right? Because not everyone is privileged to have a trust fund backing them, or to maybe have someone within the family who has borrowed them the money, or someone, or the loan was approved. Exactly. So you need to work with what you have, which means then you basically need to do and have and develop the skill of doing almost everything within your business. Then as the business grows, you then see the need to start getting more expertise on board.
Okay.
For example, with my business, there came a point where I needed a website for the business, because that's the type of impression I'm trying to create for the clients that I want to serve as a business-to-business brand.
Okay.
So when the time came, I needed to now then get those type of expertise. There was no ways I was going to spend time or effort trying to build a website myself. So the easiest thing for me, even though it cost me money, was to outsource that particular service. Then Usego would also then came along to say, you know what, this is my portfolio, as he was explaining earlier. This is the type of value that I can add to your business. Then I had to then get his services as well, because I was never going to try and, like I said earlier, take the pictures myself and hope for a professional outcome, whereas I know someone who already has that skill, who already has a good portfolio, who can do that for me. So you also need to look at the stage your business is in, and then be able to make those type of decisions accordingly.
Interesting. And I think I love the fact that you allowing the entrepreneur to grow.
Yes.
So at different levels, your business will have different needs.
Exactly.
And they change as the business, transitions into different stages or the life of the business. And I think, that takes away the pressure. I'm still starting out. I'm starting from zero and stuff. But I think there's also another aspect, though, to that sometimes your time, it also depends on the type of business that you're doing, because sometimes your time doing everything is actually more expensive than outsourcing some things, even at an early stage. Sometimes people could also look at how these experts could be brought on board through certain arrangements, exchanges, value to value. Even one can be able to find ways to negotiate as the business grows. And then I wanted to ask also, do you think that a customer can make a decision to buy or not to buy based on a photo or a video? Is that something real, or is it a fantasy? Is it real that a customer, scrolls on Facebook and sees a picture and gets caught by that picture and makes a decision that actually I want to make use of this service or this product? Or is it untrue?
I think it's true. That uyakwazi ubona into and uyikhalele and you want it, you want it for yourself. However, there's also a disadvantage. Is the person that you're asking who's going to do it for you uyakwazi ufika like la level or not?
Okay, the delivery side of
delivery is something else. But otherwise, I've seen a lot of people who've seen my portfolio, and then that's where I would get your
clients.
Bookings. Yes. But I think in particular with since there's private and there's also businesses, that's all.
Okay.
With the businesses, I just show them a few of my videos, what I do for them, and these are things that they can incorporate as their business portfolio.
Okay.
Because I've noticed that not all black businesses actually do such things. They utilize or LinkedIn.
Okay.
They just know that there's Facebook, but they don't diversify ezabo izinto into there. Yes, they may have a page, but there's no interaction between client and the person who has this business. There's no openness between the two. Yes, we are not as big as these main your Apple, but funny enough, uzobona the CEO of Apple having sessions where they interact at the top level.
At the
You see,
level.
so with us as well, small businesses are like, you need to have that opportunity of also uzbeke now and get the lando irata quality, so that or you want it yenzeke for you, at least you've seen something. So I would say clients do see what they buy tanda by
and they can go for it. Awesome.
I also think making that decision comes from how much time you have at that particular moment that you are being sold to.
Okay.
Right.
Okay,
So
sure,
let me give you an example. I love football. I watch different leagues all over the world. Well, sitting from home, obviously, you know.
You don't tell me live. Okay.
Not yet. Yeah, not yet. So, if you're trying to sell me something during my football time, chances are you're not going to succeed.
Okay.
Because that's my football
shutdown
time.
mode.
Yeah, I'm not taking anything in. I'm not trying to do anything. It's a weekend. You're not gonna get through to me. If you try sell me the same product during the week. After hours, after 5, my response might be different. I might have different questions instead of just shutting you down. So the one thing that business owners need to understand is that human beings are fickle.
Okay.
In the sense that they are very that's just the nature of how we are. We change our minds all the time. It's easy to upset or offend abantu over into that you might think is so the time that you are selling and the medium that you are using to sell also goes a very long way in terms of me making that decision there and then. Yeah, because sometimes I might need to revisit the pitch more than once, depending on what I was doing the first time. If you're lucky enough, then you'll get me the first time and I'll sign and I'll buy or whatever. But chances are, with the people that we are and the distractions that we get, like I said earlier, you know, with the age of social media and all of this information overload, it becomes more difficult to sell because remember, it's a transfer of energy. That's what selling is, the essence of it, and that's what advertisers also understand. It's a transfer of energy, and then the money exchange or the contract comes later. But I first need to resonate with you at a certain level, and maybe rapport, sort of like yes, exactly. That's a keyword in sales, rapport.
Interesting. Gentlemen, I want to let you guys go. But before I do, I want to give you an opportunity just to give details so that an entrepreneur, a small business, a startup, a big business that's listening right now who wants to make use of Project Hope that's in Queenstown and the surrounding areas.
Yes, they can contact me via email SisekoTshonti@gmail.com, or they can WhatsApp or call me 068 021 5560.
You're gonna have to say that again. 068
021 5560. Or they can catch me in your YouTube channel, which is that's Project Hope Initiative. Okanye banfumane na ku Facebook page, which is TOL_media.
Interesting. Yes. Beautiful conversation that we have just had right now, Mtasekaya. I don't want to touch much on some of the things that were said. We're going to get indaba yase Dubai, City Uzobuya. And when we come back, we're going to do justice to this conversation.